It's do or die for the Imperawatts. After Swolax and Bean Soldier TV bared it all in a mirror that reminded me of my last time at the club, there's no more wiggle room. The Imperawatts need to win every single game remaining if they want to make it to the playoff stage. I'm token quirked up guest commentator and captain of the Imperawatts, Joseph Rothschild, aka MBT, and I can promise you, today's match is going to be flaming. If you want to follow along with this fiery festival, check out Elestriad.com for up-to-the-minute standings as the season reaches its climax. Today's two casters may be representing Demeter and Hephaestus, but right now they've got to be feeling a little more like Sisyphus. PokeAim has been at the top of the hill a half-dozen matches this season, only to have the boulder roll all the way back down. Today he's playing for his first and most important win of the season. Mario's Gaming World isn't faring much better. While his deck would have been constructed quality just one format ago, the powerful cards in Frostfall have been too much for Viserys Beat to handle. And if you want to avoid his fate, you're definitely going to want to pick up Daybreak. Daybreak is Elestrals' third set. It contains powerful solar playmakers that are sure to take the meta by storm. Sandstorm, that is. It's a Pharaohgeist joke for those of you at home. Hop over to shopelestrals.com to check out the next generation of silly little guys. Speaking of silly little guys, let's check out the casters' pulls. Mario leads off with a Moose Station, which is featured heavily in the decks of our water casters all Elestriad. Unfortunately, it's likely to make a splash in Mario's deck. Too wet, too salty, too hairy. God, I've been there before. His last opening for the Elestriad finishes with a bang, a rise from the ashes. A little too costly for anything but janky hand rip strategies. PokeAim's pulls aren't fantastic, but watch him try and sell us on a clearly garbage Elestral.
Also, Caperfume seems really cool. +2 for each fire Elestral on the field, and you can expend fire in order to special cast one fire spirit from your hand. Dude, this seems cool.
Keep at it, King. No one took Blazerus seriously either. And pulling up the end of pulls, a beautiful full art that unfortunately is completely unplayable thanks to the rules of the Elestriad. Let's see what Mario's built.
We're on the final week. It's week 7. And losing the Helios Chariot ride last week left me so annoyed that this week we're playing it. We are playing with the Chariot ride. Hopefully I draw this if they decide to Chariot ride me, and I can just chariot them back in response, and that'll do fine. If I don't draw, worst case scenario, maybe I can use it to like go for game or something. And then on top of that, just the regular Earth Nexus stuff, maybe open up with a rabbit. That's the plan for week 7. Let's just get on in there and do it up.
Chariot Ride has definitely been the breakout card of the format. While it's unlikely that Mario can set up an OTK with the big boat, he can definitely ensure that Viserys goes wide. What's PokeAim rocking?
So this is my final week of the Elestriad. I have not won a game this season, and this game is very important because my team needs everybody to win in order for us to make playoffs. So there's a lot of pressure on me, but there's also a lot of pressure on everybody else, but we happen to have won every game up to this point for the week, so I would hate to have it end here. I'm playing 5s again, so I got my Necrofs, I got my Cryovern, etc. I got my Marpoon, my Waters, and I got like Earthquake and things like that. No Kryoscorches this week. It just was not being pulled. It was constantly on the bottom of my deck, which is annoying because I was shuffling, but it is what it is. We're gonna have a good time though versus Mario, and hopefully give y'all a great game, a close game, and a win. I literally won a draft league before I won the Elestriad. Anyway, we'll see y'all in the game.
We have faith in you, PokeAim. And it's not hard to. This deck looks insane. Maxing out on Heliod's is going to do double duty, both as a playmaker and as a psychic weapon. Let's see how it turns out. Play is going to begin with PokeAim, who's going to start it off with a small Tuga in attack position. Not usually where you see the small Tuga. That 5 defensive stat has made it a mainstay of the Elestriad, and its ability to search Necruff makes it a powerful threat. The ability to sit behind small Tuga's massive derriere and follow it up with a Necruff that can threaten all but the most powerful Elestrals is a great position to be in. Here, setting a couple of runes in the back row, you can expect that at least one of those is going to contest whatever Mario spends a spirit on. Down comes Viserys, one of the most powerful Elestrals in the last couple of formats, threatening not only the small Tuga, but to go wide, getting another Viserys from deck. Here, we will also enchant a Feloy Forest to ensure that it gets over everything, including the butt of a small Tuga, but shield comes down unsurprisingly. Sending a couple of Frost Spirits to the Underworld here probably telegraphs a little. If you're paying attention to PokeAim's decks, you can expect there will be a Cryo Link, but this all but confirms it. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and enchant an Astrabbit and check out the top 3 cards of the deck, picking the most powerful for our plays. We'll set another card, and placing these Elestrals in attack position has paid off. We get a couple of pieces of chip damage into Mario. Very important to keep his spirit count low. Every single spirit against these Earth decks can translate into a high-statted Elestral. Speaking of, down comes the Viscerus that was just shielded to the hand. And we're also going to Earthquake. Earthquake Rabbit feels so terrible because, of course, the Rabbit has already paid out in a card, but it's also necessary because if you do not have it, you could theoretically just go ahead and enchant again. Viscerus here will get the Tsunami out of PokeAim, and this is a worst-case scenario for Mario. This means that there is potentially a scenario where the Viscerus will be eaten in battle, which is not where you want to be. These threats in the Earth deck are all individually powerful, but generally quite light. Viscerus is a must-resolve. Down comes Nekruff, the honorary Water Elestral. I think we've seen this specific Elestral enchanted with fire like once the entire Elestriad. Playing around Tsunami at all times, PokeAim is not even playing any Fire Spirits in his Spirit deck. Down goes the Viscerus, and you know what? We'll get in a little bit of chip damage with the Smoltuga as well. Mario already down to 12, PokeAim at a fresh 14, but things are about to change. Mario thinking immediately after drawing a card, and here comes the individual rune that has given so many casters so much trouble this Elestriad, Helios's Chariot Ride. PokeAim does not have the ability to respond here with any of the back row. Tsunami would be the likely culprit, but all of the remaining Elestrals on the field are water enchanted. Viscerus comes down, and here we are going to see what we cleared the way for, a go-wide Viscerus. Not nearly as powerful as a Blazerus OTK, however. This is just going to summon a Blicerus in defense position, enchanted with a Viscerus in attack as well. Any high-statted Elestral will make quick work of the defense position Viscerus, at which point PokeAim just has to contend with a single dude. Mario's also very down in cards. This Nog will put PokeAim way ahead against the 3-card hand and the known board. No back row runes available at all. After a couple of quick draws, PokeAim stares at his hand for a little bit and fires off a Cryoling. This is an early Cryoling. At present, there are only 5 Frosts in the graveyard, not sufficient to make the Cryoling trigger its effect. We'll punch over the Viscerus that's in defense position. Still can't clear the one in attack, but I imagine one of those back row will do so. If you're Mario, your number one goal in this position is to prevent that Cryoling from triggering, because no matter what happens, it probably will next turn. Equilinx is a great way to do it. This can potentially snipe out powerful back row and get to a position where you can actually clear the Elestrals on board. Equilinx, one of the fantastic reasons to be an Earthcaster this Elestriad. This Nexusing ability is so powerful, and popping back row is so unavailable to so many decks. I mean, just think of how excited we were to cast Thunderbolt Brontoglow. Demeter comes down with its court-ordered 3 enchanting Earth Spirits. We'll try for the Nexus here. Now, the Equilinx does target, so if the target is the card that PokeAim wanted to resolve, he may just chain it rather than doing something like a Gorgons, and what do you know it is? We'll go for the Tsunami here. While that will make quick work of the Equilinx and preserve PokeAim's Spirit deck, that Viscerus can just switch back to attack position and get in this turn, so it will require another piece of interaction if he wants to get out there. We're going to go for an Ambro here. Players during the Elestriad have learned to cast Ambro early and often. And there it goes to the Underworld as the Viscerus returns to attack position. Here the Cryoling is priority numero uno. We do not want that becoming a Cryovern. Mario is going to point that Viscerus directly at the little dragon and walk into a Gorgon's Gaze. PokeAim draws for turn, and the Cryoling is now on. By paying out that Gorgon's Gaze with Frost Elestrals, we have reached the main phase in a position where it has to trigger. Down comes Cryovern, another Elestral that is almost always carrying a Water Spirit underneath it. Can't play around Tsunami too much. Unfortunately, it looks like the Cryovern can't clear the entire board here, so we're going to lead Ambrosia and get back to a healthy 9 spirit count, at which point we'll assess the situation once again. The Viserys is less of a problem now that it's known that all 3 copies are in rotation. It can't go for a 4th, but still probably worth an Earthquake on the Equilinx just to get a point of damage in over the Viserys. That's 1 off the Viserys attack and an additional 1 off the Smoltuga. PokeAim is in control of this game, but keep in mind, as I said earlier, every single Earth Elestral is a threat on its own, and that Feloy Forest is going to ensure it gets over almost everything. All it's going to take is a small dude, a Demeter buff, and a Feloy, and we are in trouble once again. Equilinx is as bad as it gets. Nexusing from the Demeter means that you can easily eat the last remaining back row, and what do you know? It is a Helios's Chariot Ride, waiting in the wings for an OTK. This Equilinx is 6 attack, so it will need to be buffed by the Demeter, but it will also make quick work of the Cryovern. No damage for PokeAim because, of course, they both have 2 enchanting spirits, but still not a great position to be in. Smoltuga facing down a huge Equilinx that could theoretically develop again using the Feloy Forest Spirit to pop a piece of back row. It's got to be an Elestral that can get over Equilinx and contests the back row. And Mustation is perfect for it. Almost everything in the game this resists will use the effect of Mustation to flip-flop the attack and defense stats, moving it to 6, at which point it will crash with the Equilinx. This will cost 1 to perform the flip-flop, 1 to cast the Mustation, and if they crash, 1 additional, as the difference in spirits is 1, but well worth it at this stage in the game just to clear such an unbelievable threat. We've left MarioGamingWorld top decking with a Smoltuga facing him down and only 2 spirits to his name. Mario draws. It's do or die. Will expend to draw. Either he's desperate or the set card is an Ambrosia. PokeAim calls a shot. And it is the Ambro. There's still Elestrals to play here today. This game is coming right down to the wire. PokeAim at 4 spirits to Mario's 3, but Mario's up an entire card in this exchange. Anything threatening could do it. Instead, it looks like it's going to be a pass, no back row investment. 2 here off of these copies of Smoltuga. Misenchanted, so no Necruff search. Do or die. What's the draw? And that actually does out the board. The Misenchanted Rabbit will be gaining 1 attack from the Feloy Forest. PokeAim with only 3 spirits to his name is going to have to develop something in order to out this last remaining card. You can see him checking the draw, laughing. It must be something. He's thought of a play and will ascend a Smoltuga into a Cryovern. One of the worst draws in the deck, but one of the only positions where we can make it work. PokeAim with his head in his hands has snatched his first win and kept the dream of the Imperawatts alive. 3 more games and we are out.
Wow.
And I needed it so we have a chance, man.
No doubt in my mind that it's happening. PokeAim has fulfilled his duties. Now it's up to the remainder of the Imperawatts to fulfill theirs. See you tomorrow.